Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the NXTGEN podcast. Here I got with me my boy Josh Clay. He's the owner of We Train Online Coaching, and you can see him all over Instagram doing his thing with those silly ass TikToks. Keep an eye out for those.
Get out. I do have TikTok though.
Yeah, well, dude, those videos are funny, man. Like,
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is the functional one. You come out with a ref and you throw the flag.
Yeah, the
That's-
functional ref one.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
people love those.
Yeah.
But I haven't been doing those because there's
No,
just
I
so
know.
much to produce.
Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
that takes a lot.
There's so much to produce.
Yeah, but it's all right. I couldn't do that shit. So I'm glad.
Well, luckily the gym that I filmed at in Denver,
Yeah.
like we always did it when there wasn't anyone there.
For sure.
Right? And like always made sure to kind of like ask people like, yo, is it cool if we kind of be a little outlandish right now? Because I don't want to like, got to be respectful, especially with like
Yeah.
all the stuff going on with like, people getting called out for, just filming videos.
Yeah,
and then, there's people in the back that like don't want to be filmed.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So just kind of being conscientious of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. It's fun though.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
keep
been good.
Keep that going, because I look at that, I was like, bro, only Josh can do that shit. Like, seriously.
I haven't done one of them in a while.
Yeah.
My content's been super serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your content's good. It's all good.
Carousels, bro.
Yeah.
Carousels are so much easier to create than
Then a whole like scripted.
yeah,
video.
than the scripted videos, because creating the content is one thing, and then making sure that you're getting the message across that you want to get across, right? Like it's not just about like making people laugh with that stuff. It's just like, all right, what is the message I'm trying to communicate when I'm making people laugh? Like, how can I make people more susceptible to the message that I'm kind of communicating? Which with a lot of those was just kind of speaking to the ridiculousness of some of the rules that so many coaches instill in strength and conditioning.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I was trying to do with that.
Yeah. Well, it's dope. I like it. Keep
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right. We got to give the people what they want, which is, well, first of all, let me take a step back. You're doing a seminar tomorrow.
Yep.
Here in LA.
Yep.
So you flew out from New York.
Yep.
Let's just talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Like it's not on a bulk of it is very much going to be on program design. That's kind of like what people know me for, as far as like bringing a more, there's so many coaches and trainers who have this like, for this seminar, it's all about like people who have been in the game for anywhere like 2 to 5 years. So like, and they're people that are committed, like they've been studying, they know a lot. But the thing is like they're all probably suffering from a little bit or a lot from varying degrees of paralysis by analysis, right? Like they know a lot, but the thing is they don't have a framework for how to think. Yeah. And in a big sense, they aren't practicing a ton of critical thinking. Like a big thing that I notice is they can tell you what Coach Cassim believes when it comes to hypertrophy, or what Chris Beardsley or Brad Schoenfeld believe when it comes to hypertrophy, or whatever coach you follow discipline, but they can't tell you what they themselves believe. Like if I said, hey, 30 seconds, tell me what you believe, there's gonna be a ton of coaches and trainers will be like, I believe in being strong and having a good time with training. But like that's not unique. You know what I mean? Like, what do you actually believe? What are your guiding principles? Yeah. And I think a big reason is, a lot of people will, kind of shit on principles, shit on systems. They'll say, oh, systems know that. Look, principles are a part of systems. Like principles guide decision making. Systems streamline decision making. Like a good system is founded on good principles. So it's not principles or systems. They can both coexist within the same context. And that's what I think. That's what a big part of the beginning of the seminar is going to be about, helping them find out and instilling or communicating the value of knowing your guiding principles. Like all my clients, like that are coaches and trainers, they know like intensity drives adaptation, outcomes over solutions. And it's funny, right? But like in the end, it's drilled inside their head. So like if they need to adapt their own training, since I do a lot of online coaching, they know what I would say because my principles are drilled inside their head, right? It guides decision making. Yeah. And so I know what I believe in when it comes to mobility. I know what I believe in when it comes to all these different facets of performance, strong as you need to be, not as you can be. Right. And that allows me to make decisions easier, right? Like I have a filter that I can run all my decisions through, and I make decisions quicker. And I maintain the standard of my coaching. That allows me to do that. But there's so many coaches that don't know their principles. So big thing is going to be communicating the value of that and then teaching them how to design their principles. Like, how do you actually sit down and figure out what you believe in? Right. And then every 6 months, which you and I took from UCLA, like when we were at UCLA, right? Like, what do you believe in when it comes to coaching, when it comes to training, when it comes to nutrition? And then reserve the right to update those principles or those beliefs based on new information.
Right.
So that's going to be a big thing. Like, what I believed 6 months ago might not be what I believe today, right? Like, that's gonna be a big thing, and tonal really changed my mind on a lot of different things that I believe in. So that we're gonna get big into the weeds of program design, but it's gonna be, I'm not telling them, what I'm trying to do is with this program from a program design point, it's all about, here's the framework, you already know all this information. Right. I'm not telling you how to develop strength. I'm assuming you already know this.
Right.
I'm giving you a framework for how to program, and you can apply whatever you learn from any seminar, whatever it is. Here's how you can apply that information, and here's the framework you can use to apply it and streamline your programming. Because so many people make programming harder than it needs to be,
right.
Because this is specifically related to Gen Pop, right? So, like, the reason we're making these decisions so hard is because we're thinking that this one little decision is going to get this person 1% better. But, like, if it was Kevin Durant, that would matter. But, like, yo, Betty's 45 years old and she's got 2 or 3 kids. Like, she's just trying to lose a little fat, hopefully put on a little muscle, maybe get stronger. Like, you're focusing so much on decisions that just don't matter in the scheme of things. And in the realist sense, you're missing the forest for the trees, right? Like, let's take a zoom out look and let's realize that, like, elite athletes and all the stuff we're learning about in these books, these principles apply to elite athletes, but we need to take these and we need to mold them to the more general needs and qualities and goals of Gen Pop.
Right.
So it's going to be that, and then we're going to get into velocity-based training. And obviously, you can get super in the weeds of that. Yeah. But it's going to be like, we can use it to monitor fatigue, measure readiness, and then increase intent. Like, let's not get super crazy. Yeah. It's Gen Pop, right? Like, if it's, and a big thing is like, you can get super in the weeds, and sometimes if you get so focused on the data, it actually takes a ton of time from your workout, and then next thing you know, you're missing your accessory shit. So like, how do we use this with Gen Pop in a way that's very general to increase the overall effectiveness of our approach, but without taking away from other things? And then a big thing is games, like how to utilize games to get that reactive stimulus that Gen Pop just cannot get in training. They're probably not playing games, right? Or they're probably not, in a local adult league. They probably maybe played high school basketball or something like that. But you and I both know, like, the benefit of this reactive stimulus to build connective tissue strength, for fun, right? Yeah. Like, for maintaining power and stuff like that. Like, you fall off a curb or something like that, like, improving those reactive capabilities to stabilize, because we always forget, like, everybody talks about how, you were forced into a position that you weren't prepared for, but we also forget that there's a velocity component to injury. So, like, games are fun, man. Like, what if every Friday you replace your warm-up with a game, or you replace your conditioning with a game? Because if you pick the right game, it's going to wreck them. Like, they're going to be huffing and puffing, but it's going to be in a way that's fun, and it improves engagement with the training, right? So, like, not only, the importance of games, but how do we scale them? Yeah. Right? Like, how do we, we're just moving sagittal. Like, this is super simple, but how do we move in the frontal plane? Now, how do we utilize rotational component? How do we add, games are competitive. So how do we do this? How do we scale them? And then how do we take what we're seeing and try and apply it to their training, or not apply it to their training, just say, hey, that's the way they self-organize. I'm good with that, right? Like, I don't need to harp on that one thing, because it's like, all right, if we were to do a competitive, 5-10-5 shuttle or something like that, like, oh, well, you need to get that hip inside your, like, do they? Like, really? Like, let's not get crazy, right? Like, let's chill. Like, we're just trying to, there's a difference between developing something and exposing them to a stimulus, right? Like, developing a quality and just trying to expose them to a stimulus so that we can maintain that over the long term as they age. So 106 slides. We're going to be cranking.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we're going to be cranking.
Chill.
Yeah, your boy's been work. I did not look at the slides at all today because I needed to just...
Yeah, of course.
Just it's funny. I was just like talking right there, and I'm in my head. I'm like, is this going to be 8 hours? But what's funny is like making it. I was like, right before I came out here, I've always said that I don't think I've ever been to a 2-day seminar that couldn't have been done in one day. You know what I mean? Like I really don't know if I've ever been to a 2-day seminar that couldn't have been done in one day. And the reason I say that is because so much of the second day is stuff that applies to 1% of clienteles that most of us will work with. It applies to elite athletes. It was that way with FRC.
Right.
FRC was awesome. It was great. The first day was all I needed. I didn't need the second day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not taking away the importance. It just didn't. It was not
Didn't we
applicable.
do more hands-on stuff the second day, though? I feel like that was valuable.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. But no, the first day was great. I remember.
Yeah, the first day was awesome. But, like, some of that second stuff, it was like, I'm like,
yeah,
I didn't really need this. Like, it was cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't really need this. You know what I mean? And, like, part of me was like, oh, man, I was telling my girlfriend, Rachel, I was telling her, like, yo, I'm wondering if I should have made this 2 days. And she was like, what did you say to me literally just the other day? And I was like, actually, you know what? You're right. So this will be a big learning lesson because I eventually, after this, we're going to release an online version where people can attend online. And then, so it'll be a big learning lesson as far as, because with seminars, you're just trying to tell the story, right? Like everything sets the base for the next thing. Like in order to know this, you need to know this and understand this. So it was interesting for this. I did like I bought a teaching course. Like how do you create a module or a seminar? Like how do you actually how does, and questions you need to ask and how you can reverse engineer, like in order to know this, they need to understand this and what does your audience know and stuff like that. So that was actually a really big help because there's a lot of things that we're just not going to get into the weeds of a program design because I don't want to, a lot of these people are really smart coaches. I don't want to, insult them. I'm just assuming that they already know this. So yeah, it's
a good approach to take anyways. And if they don't, they'll do their due diligence. You know? Yeah. But like you want to get your message across without the fluff, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
exactly. Like I don't want to, there's so much, I've been to a lot of seminars, over the past few years, obviously, because you never stop learning. But I think we're kind of at the point of my career or our career where every single seminar is more like, it's not going to completely blow your mind. It's like one or two things that you're like, okay, and that makes it worth it. But for me, it's all about like just making sure it's the like under promise, over deliver. Yeah. Right. Like I want these every single participant to leave and being like, yo, he's an idiot. I'd have paid $1,000 for that. And like they're all gonna get, my strength ratios calculator, my client annual plan template, that obviously that we got from UCLA and I've just modified completely. But like still, that's just such a great way to track. Totally. Not necessarily to track, plan ahead, because I don't believe in doing that for Gen Pop. I think it's kind of pointless. Yeah. But being able to look back at the previous 6 months of their training and be like, what did I do good? Like, oh man, you know what? I probably exposed them to too much anaerobic work and they've been noting like feeling pretty run down. What can I do better for the next 6 months? Right. And then the strength ratios calculator, which basically says like, it'll tell them, like, hey, what's your back squat as a percentage of your deadlift? What do we need to work on? Are you kinetic chain focused? Are you posterior chain focused? What do we need to develop? Are you strong enough? Right? Like, hey, is your pressing's good? Like, let's just maintain that. And we need to focus on your pulling. And then they'll get that. And then they're going to get library of conditioning methods.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So full, I think there's 18 methods on there. I took some stuff out, like intensive tempo and extensive tempo, that I just don't use too much with Gen Pop. Okay. And then they're going to get my full library of strength methods. So like the wave method, 753, 531, 321. How do you utilize that? How do you utilize accentuated eccentrics?
That kilo strength resource is sick.
So the kilo strengths one, so I actually am not, so because I had all that stuff in there from kilo, I actually took it out, which is funny because I want to be respectful of how valuable the resource it was for me.
Yeah.
So I took all that stuff out, and I'm actually just going to encourage them to buy it themselves.
Oh, nice.
I want to be, if somebody was, it was such a great resource for me.
Yeah.
Like, it really was. Like, it simplified programming as far as accumulation, intensification, volume, and intensity. Like, what is the final stimulus? Like, just look at everything as volume or intensity, and that's going to be a big thing with program. It's so easy.
Right.
But, like, look, if your program's, like, it's going 15, 12, 10, 8, but then the next exercise is, like, 8, 10, 12, but then the next one is 7, 5, 3. Like, what are you trying to tell the central nervous system? Like, volume or intensity, and make that the primary driver
in the same direction.
Yeah, point all the arrows in the same direction. Exactly. And I want to be respectful that was such a great resource for me. So I'm gonna just basically say, hey,
go buy this.
Yeah, like,
I agree.
they made this, they put in money to it, they deserve to see the value from a monetary standpoint.
Yeah.
So
No,
I had it in there for myself, just so I didn't have to keep going from kilo strength to my exercise database. But I did remove it just because, we're all, we all got to support each other.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's great. It just, everything you said, it helped with everything you mentioned. But for me, it was just, honestly, it was just about like, just decision fatigue.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make shit up over month after month after month after month. It's like, dude, let me just look at someone else's work and be like, oh yeah, duh, like just plug and play. You know what I'm saying? Just so because decision fatigue is a real thing when you're over here making decisions for so many other people. You know what I'm saying? So it just makes it easier, streamlines the process, gives me more methods to play with, gives me more ideas. Like
I think that's the biggest thing is it provides variation. Like so many people are like 3 sets of 8, 5 by 5, which is it's great, right? But like there is something to say for providing variation. Like everybody, so many trainers are fixated on like, oh, my client doesn't want to do the same workouts. And we're like, yeah, dude, if every single phase is 3 sets of 8 or 4 sets, like, yeah, it gets a little boring. Like I'm doing 3 sets of 8 at the same weight. Like, you know what would be crazy if you did 8 at 205, 8 at 215, 8 at 225, like step loading, like work up to a top set. What if you did like 7, 7, 5, 5? Like there's so much variation that you can implement, and that's going to be a big thing that we're going to talk about is what are all the different ways that you can implement from a variation standpoint within your client's program to keep them engaged while still moving the needle towards their goals, right? Like without having to like random workouts get random results, but there's varied, not random. Like variation is very different from random because there's more thoughtful application of how you're programming. And like, I just think so many trainers are like complaining that like, oh, people just want variation. Look, you can give it to them. You're just like you're just complaining that they don't want to do the same workouts for however long, which you and I both know. Like, dude, we've done like the 6 and 8 week programs, and I'm just like, yo, I cannot do this anymore. Like when I did powerlifting, I was like, I can't do this. I cannot do another day of this. Like just I can't do it.
16 weeks was like, bro.
I saw results, but I'm just like, I am slowly losing my zest for training, just like dying inside a little more. Like it shows, right? Like even if your clients are seeing the progress and they see that it's working, there's something to say about actually enjoying your workouts.
Of course.
And I think that's a big thing that Tonal taught me is like, what do people look for in a workout and things like that. And I think the biggest revelation I had, one of my best programs was we did 5, 10, 20. So we did 5, 10, 20 weeks 1 to 2, and then we did 6, 12, 24 weeks 3 and 4. And I had a hunch, and I put it into a couple other programs, and those programs always went off because obviously I had access to like, different. I could see what people were rating the programs. There's one thing, like a lot of times programs, like if it's a hypertrophy program, everybody does the same thing. Everything within the program is 6 to 12, right? Like every single exercise every single day is like 6 to 12. My hunch and what I found out and what I realized, what people love, instead of having like a strength day or having a hypertrophy day or an endurance day, you know what I mean? People love workouts where they can train multiple qualities and multiple rep ranges within the same workout. So maybe the first block A is strength or power. It's 8 by 3 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever it is. And the next block is more like mechanical tension hypertrophy based, like 8 to 12. And then maybe the next block is more like metabolic stress, right? Like 12 to 20, 15 to 20. And those workouts and those programs that did that always went off because it kept it varying. And it also, it fostered this kind of storyline throughout the workout, right? Like it tapped into different feelings, right? And I think that was awesome because you were telling a story with the workout. And that's another thing I realized too, is like workouts are just stories we tell, right? And like how are you telling your story, and what kind of story does your client want to read or whatever it is? And that was really like a really dope revelation that I found with Gen Pop, was that like, yo, if you just like, and there's some great research, some data strength driven guys out of Florida Atlantic. You know, there's some great stuff as far as optimizing hypertrophy. There's a lot to be said of, you know, including training at different varying rep ranges, right? Like, so you can get the metabolic stress and the mechanical tension and the strength, which is like, which is why I love, like, I think the single best approach is accumulation, intensification. Like if everybody did that for the rest of their lives, we would get people who are absolutely jacked and strong and resilient as shit.
Totally.
Like, I firmly believe that. And I mean, I got that from Tim.
Yeah, I got that from Tim too.
I'd say like Tim has had the biggest impact on me from a program design standpoint. And then the Kilo Strength guys.
Totally.
Conjugate method.
Yeah.
Obviously Vladimir Surin with block periodization, which is where I first learned it, but then Tim was the one that kind of brought it all home for me and was like,
I also realized like you can just like flip flop between the two. You don't have to worry about real periodization. There is no real periodization.
Yeah. Well, and dude, when you realize that like a big part of this seminar is going over like how is periodization actually necessary from a scientific standpoint for hypertrophy, periodization is not, it's not better than some like a non-periodized program. It's not better. All that matters is, are you training at or near failure, right? Like, are you training at an intensity that's going to drive adaptation? We found from a strength standpoint that periodization in untrained people didn't matter.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, like an untrained versus periodized program versus unperiodized program, and untrained people.
Right. Well, people that are untrained have such a high ceiling and such a low floor.
They can do anything.
They'll get stronger.
They can do anything.
Or whatever, more fit, whatever it is.
Yeah. And then in trained people, periodized was better. And then from there, undulating was obviously better than linear. But I'm still, you know, I believe in linear periodization for beginners just because it's just super easy. You're only manipulating one variable.
Totally.
And it's going to foster their growth until they can get to the point. Because a beginner or an untrained person, like, in order to do undulating, you have to have a pretty high work capacity.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, but with an untrained person, if I'm trying to utilize an undulating program, like, what am I going to do? 8 one day, 10 one day, 12 another day? Like,
exactly.
There's just
you can't
anywhere. Undulate. Yeah. Like, it's not to a point where it's going to really there's not a high threshold day or a low threshold day or whatever it is. Like, you can't.
I only do that with my athletes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you only can, but
100%. But it's like, this seminar is going to be dope because it's going to be like, hey, you're trying to apply all these things that apply to elite athletes. Take a step back.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as hard as you're making it. Right. It's Gen Pop, and granted, I have some, like, I have one client who she hates being called Gen Pop. Absolutely despises it. Yeah. No, Tavel doesn't. Frances. So she's in New York City, and but she's an elite athlete. Like, she has, you know, she has the regular job, but she's also done like the Ironmans and stuff like that. Yeah. So, like, I get it. Right. But, like, she's a different case. But for like most of our clients, just like, hey, man, I don't care about getting jacked. Don't care about benching 315 pounds. Like, I just want to feel good. I got some aches and pains. My lower back's hurting. My knees are hurting. I want to lose some fat. Want to be able to fit into this pair of jeans. And I want to look good. But, like, I don't need to get jacked or anything. I don't need to be the strongest human being in the gym. And it's like, when you realize how general their goals actually are, like, we just try and we want to get so specific when it's not, you're using the wrong tool.
Yeah. It's like what we did at Monarch was, like, we had an intake. We developed, like, an intake, and we were like, what is out of these 5 goals, what is your number one goal? Because we had to do it because, like you said, everyone came in with such general goals. Nobody had goals.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to look better. Yeah. Body comp. Yep. That's it. So we literally, the 5 things, I don't even remember what all 5 were, but it was something like lose fat, gain weight, work on, like, mobility, and I don't know, maybe athletic performance, and there's something else, and like maybe it was just physical therapy. I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but like that was just our way of like helping them find what they truly value. You know what I'm saying? And listing that as your actual first priority, and then letting everything else follow. Yeah, because like general pop, it's always body comp, and if you want that, then like what we're doing with like with the linear periodization or whatever, not periodization, but the linear approach to switching between intensification and accumulation blocks like throughout the year, it's the way to go.
It's just so easy, right? And you're like, that's really all the variation they need. Like they really, and I will admit, like depending on like sometimes again it can be hard to get them to buy into an intensification block because they're resting a little longer, and like the fatigue and you know what I mean, the fatigue is not there that they crave, that they associate with a good workout. So obviously that's when it comes to like a lot of education, like why are we doing this?
They also, some people just can't exert themselves because they're not strong, and B, they just haven't been there yet. So like what I love for doing that is like a really shallow percentage of like descending reps. So like a 12-10 8-6 is like, hey, we just did 3 sets of 10 last phase, let's just say. All right, let's do 12-10 8-6. We're just going to add 5 to 10 pounds every single set. And all of a sudden you went from a 30-pound goblet squat to a 50-pound goblet squat. You know what I'm saying? And then you just build from there. Yeah,
exactly. And instead of like, doing like you and I would do, which is like 7-6-5-4, like, I love a wave method. Like give me 3-2-1, 3-2-1, like stuff like that. It's also getting them to do like power oriented stuff. Like that's it. I could have done way more than that. Okay, let me educate. Let's talk about why we're doing this.
It's the same thing in the opposite direction.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but then at the same time, it's realizing like, hey, do we want to develop power? Yes, but honestly, like, I'm more so just focused on maintaining it and constantly exposing them to a power bias stimulus or velocity stimulus, right? Like, I'm not too concerned about making you, because I know you don't care about having the highest vertical jump.
Right.
So I will say that my intensification programs are definitely biased a little more towards strength. As opposed.
I know. Once in a while, it's mostly like ballistic things, and I just use my ballistic stuff as. I don't really use a power block. I think of one Gen Pop client in particular, but he's a former football player. He's you know what I'm saying? He's a beast. Like, all right, let's do some landmine push presses. Let's do some swings. Let's like the easy stuff. And then with everyone else, like I'm teaching them swings and goblet cleans, but like mostly about like tosses. Tosses, throws, slams. Like that's super easy. Like RFD and just like a CNS driver, and getting them going for the actual like heavy. Whatever the next like heavy block is, whether we're doing a heavy squat, bench, whatever it is.
Well, and there's a big there's a French contrast, right? Like you're supposed to rest 20 seconds between. All right, let's do it, but don't rest from exercise to exercise. Just go from one to the next. Like I'm not trying to optimize your power development. Like I'm just like, I understand that they're gonna look at it as conditioning, so I have to educate them as to why we're doing it. But like they get so much more bought into it when I don't incorporate that intermittent rest period in between. And I don't care. Like, we're not trying to optimize your power development. And there's times of like, okay, like, you know what? We're supposed to do 8x3. Let's do 8x5, 8x6, or something like that, right? Like, let me give you some of the feelings, because you have to acknowledge those feelings that they associate with a good, successful workout. And tap into that, right? In order to maintain, like, engagement and consistency and stuff like that. Because if you're just...
they can't drive that intensity, so you just... sprinkle in a little more volume, and they get what they want.
Exactly. They get what they want. Like, all right, you know what? This landmine push press, like you should have stopped 3 reps ago, but like I don't really care, just because I want you to enjoy your workout and you're getting in a groove. So like, you know what? Let's do this. So like I love landmine, like upper body stuff. I love it because it's just such a low barrier of entry in terms of learning the exercise.
Super low learning curve, you're good.
Super low learning curve, like a landmine push press, or even a landmine split jerk is infinitely easier to teach than an actual split jerk.
Oh my god!
Like like a landmine, I love it because it's like this. It has all these awesome stability components of a machine, but then some of the free weight components of free weights. Like it's like a hybrid, and I think it's the most underutilized piece of equipment, not only in like training, but I think in like if you were to get a group fitness studio or group fitness approach that actually understood, and like every squat rack had a landmine. I've always believed this, had a landmine. You could not only could you give people a great experience, but like people would absolutely love it because it's something that they probably haven't used before.
Yeah.
It's fun, super low barrier of entry, and all the stuff you can really easily teach in a group format.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like, I firmly believe that if you were to get somebody who understood training and brought a landmine into the group fitness format, you would crush it. Absolutely crush it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Watch. That's going to fucking... Watch, down the street in West Hollywood, we're
gonna so I'm opening up a landmine. Like,
fitness.
dude, my guy Landmine University is crushing it right now. Granted, I'm not doing stuff like that with Gen Pop, and I'm also just like he's going really up there, and I love what he's doing. But like, obviously, we would keep it a little more simple. But like, you know, snatches like that in CrossFit, like so many of these movements, we can do that stuff now.
Yeah.
Like, and like, you don't have to go overhead because your overhead mobility sucks. Right? Like, you don't have to, but we can still snatch. And this is how we do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is, I just think there's so many ways where you can accompany the general, or you can, you know, facilitate some of the general limitations of Gen Pop with a landmine.
Yeah.
And you can give them a great experience.
Yeah.
Combine that with some dumbbells.
You're
chilling, dude. You're chilling. Yeah.
All right. Landmine group class is coming soon.
Yeah.
That's sick. All right. That was sick. We just killed that. That was awesome. All right. Let's take a step away from training.
Okay.
Let's talk about you and your story. So just let's talk about your upbringing, like, and then we'll work our way back to like today.
Yeah. I mean, just my mom and I. Pops left when I was 3 months old. So we lived in Reno, Nevada, in a not so great portion of the city. Seen some shit that most people shouldn't see. And then when I was like 7, Mom met my stepdad, and he eventually became like, he's my dad. Like that's my dad.
Yeah.
And we moved from Reno, Nevada, moved out to North Carolina. And then we moved from North Carolina. We lived there for like 9-10 years. Then we were like, all right, we want to be closer to family, which was my mom's mom, so my grandmother. So we moved to Vegas. That was not the move. Vegas was not the move.
I didn't even know you lived in Vegas.
Yeah, I lived in Vegas for a year in 8th grade, and then we moved to North Carolina. So, and then went to college out there, graduated college at 24 years old, actually. Yeah, so I played.
I remember that, yeah.
I played college football, and then transferred and just was, just dicking off. And so it took me a little. I had to do like 2 full-time summer semesters in a row to graduate in 5.5 years.
Damn.
Something like that. And so graduated and then moved out to L.A. for like 7-8 years. And then L.A. 7-8 years. Met my now girlfriend. Then we moved to Denver, and now we're in New York City.
Yep.
Yeah. Super condensed variation.
Yeah, I'm gonna peel some layers there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about. I mean, I always want to get into this because I think it's valuable to demonstrate your story, to express your story. So, like, what was it like growing up in a single parent home when it was just you and your mom?
I mean, it was hard. We had one Christmas where we didn't have Christmas because my mom's car got broken into. Like I said, we were not in a good area. I'm not going to go super into detail on that.
Right.
But the car was on blocks. My mom didn't go to college, so there was one time I actually got pneumonia and she couldn't afford the medication, and she broke down in the doctor's office, and the doctor actually had a nurse go and grab a ton of sample packs and stuffed it in my mom's purse, and was like, leave, because he could have lost his practice.
Yeah.
I don't know how often he's seen that, but probably affected him. Just a single mom. She's not making any money. I remember we used to, so I don't know if you've ever been to, so Goodwill, a lot of times will have these Ziploc bags of used toys, and they're like $1, $2, $3. So we'd go to Goodwill, and I'd like beg my mom to give me one of the Ziploc bags of used toys. And I still remember, like, every single time she would be able to afford it, like, I would be like so stoked, so excited. I remember my mom a lot of times, like, we would get McDonald's, and I'd ask her why she wouldn't eat, and she's like, I'm not hungry. It was because she literally couldn't afford it. So, a lot of that stuff, I think back to a lot of that stuff. So, like, actually a big portion of this year, because, like, my mom's my hero, my stepdad's my hero. Those are my people. They opened up. I very firmly believe that there's a lot of great people out there. They just need the opportunity. And we don't all have the same opportunity. It's not. We just don't. We're not all set on the same timeline.
Yeah.
And so some of us just have, we're more fortunate. I'm fortunate that I have the parents that I have that got me out of that area, and I am where I am because of them.
Right.
So a big portion of this year is every single month I go in and I take 10% of what I made, and all that money at the end of the year is going to go to foundation that services single family homes.
Wow.
or single parent homes.
Yeah.
So I have a figure in mind that I want to do, and all that's going to go to that, just because that's a single mom and is the reason why I am as fortunate as I am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's going to be a big thing, but definitely a lot of that stuff still affects me. My mom dated a man who I was unfortunate to see her get beat on a few occasions. And it's something that, like, used to really, really affect me.
Yeah.
I used to think back a lot, because I talked about it on Instagram one time, but like I kind of like blacked out at portions. Like, I remember portions, I remember don't, whether that's, my psyche trying to block that out. But there's just some things that no kid should have to see, but I also know that it's not like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not alone.
Of course.
But it just speaks to, like, mom's a badass.
Yeah.
Like, she's a mama bear to the fullest extent. I remember when we moved to North Carolina, somebody was, we had a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I was like 10 or 12 years old. And somebody speeded past us in the neighborhood. She chased this fucking guy down. He went up into his driveway. I'm in the passenger seat, just like this, and pulls up into this guy's driveway, and he gets out of his car, and she gets out and fucking reams him a new one. I got my effing kid, blah blah blah. Like, she is a mama bear to a T. Like, she's a fiery redhead. I remember, if I didn't fill the dishwasher right, Mom was gonna wreck my shit. But I, her and my stepdad, those are the people why I'm here today. I'm definitely a mama's boy. No, not ashamed to say it, but
of course,
it was awesome. My dad was it was funny. My dad was a race car driver.
Oh wow.
Yeah, mechanic and race car driver, and he could have done some pretty awesome things, I think, in race car, as far as like NASCAR and everything goes. But my little brother was born, and he said, "Hey, I wanted a family my whole life. I got it. Just gonna do the mechanic thing."
Damn.
So, yeah, they're got some dope parents.
Yeah.
And that is the whole reason why I'm where I am today.
No, totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I just remember, obviously, when you lived here and we would hang out, I got glimpses of, like, you talking about your upbringing, you talking about your mom and everything.
Yeah.
So, thanks for sharing. It's like, obviously I grew up with two parents, but, my dad used to be like heavier on the alcoholic side of things, and like heavier on like the, grew up in like in a violent upbringing. It's just like, things are better now, but that's because I had stepped up, and I kind of and I'm the enforcer of the house. I became the enforcer of the house. And anyways, this my dad's from a different time, and like my mom's also from a different time. My dad's 75 years old, dude. Like, it's different, bro.
Different culture, just different culture. Values, different. Yeah.
So it's just like, I had to be the enforcer of the house. I had to like physically like put my dad down at one time. All it took was one time, and like I had to like demonstrate my physical whatever proud, what I'm saying, whatever it is. And from then on, things changed, and I've like but my mom's a beast. Like, she's a survivor. She's she's always figured it out, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Same with you. So I can relate, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like my mom's story, and I'm sure your mom's story could be like a movie. Like
Yeah. I mean,
sure.
it's nuts.
Like the shit that they've been through is like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like I used to really hold it against my real dad.
Yeah.
My real father for leaving, because my mom had me when she was 21, and I don't blame him anymore. I don't hold it against him, because you know he just I think he was 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
He just like you couldn't step up, but somebody did. It's not your fault that my mother and us we had to go through all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna you couldn't step up, and that's your thing, and that's okay. And you know what? He's got a real family, like he's got a full family now, and he's from what I understand from what I see a good father to
Wow.
you know my half sister and my half brother, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But you know at this point, you know your boy's just a sperm donor.
Yeah.
Boy's just a sperm donor.
Yeah, that's it. I get it. Yeah, you're not. I'm assuming they're not in the picture. That family.
So I haven't talked to my brother in a while. I don't talk to my father, and then I do occasionally talk to my sister.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so she runs track at Monmouth College.
Oh wow.
I think something like that. And so I would eventually like to try and make it to a meet or something before she graduates, because that's a relationship with her and my brother that I would like to continue, while obviously keeping my father out of it.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
I get that. I got five half siblings, but they're not in the picture. But it's a different thing.
Dude, I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
No,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's what I'm saying. My mom was in a previous marriage that was like really abusive.
Yeah.
She got out of that. My dad was also in another marriage. My dad has 2 other sons. My mom has 2 other sons and a daughter.
Yo, good Lord.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I keep that shit.
Podcasting time.
Yeah. Here we
go.
Now everyone
Podcasting
knows. Now
time.
everyone fucking knows.
Yeah.
I keep that shit to myself.
Yeah.
Now everyone fucking knows.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyways, so I get it.
Sorry.
You're right. But yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Like what it's like to have that, like, I call it dysfunction. Whatever. The word is dysfunction, but like whatever, that dynamic of like there's a whole other family, things, you know, may or may not be great, you know, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
anyways, don't have to go any deeper than that.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously you're one of my closest friends. We used to hang out all the time when you lived here and everything. And like you brought me on to, and like I already know, like I can already picture what like this seminar is going to be.
Yeah.
Because when we worked on that app together, I saw how like organized you were, and like the systems that you already had in place for yourself, and how streamlined your methods were back then. You know what I'm saying? That was years ago. But with that being said, on top of that, you've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Like you and I interned at UCLA together, and then you figured out that collegiate strength and conditioning wasn't for you.
Yeah.
So if you can take me through that, like you were a personal trainer for X amount of years. You wanted to try out collegiate strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
And then realized that wasn't it. So can you take me through that?
Yeah. It's so it's interesting because now I'm back. You know, I worked for Tonal for a year, but I was still holding down my entrepreneurial business, right? And that was a big reason why when I got laid off from Tonal, I was good. Like I'm Gucci. I don't got to worry. You know what I mean? Because I was still I was making more money than I was at Tonal.
Right.
And that was a great feeling. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. I think when I was reading it, they interviewed like the people that were the happiest people, and they tried to realize is there a similar trait that all these people are demonstrating, right? Like that's kind of coming to the surface. It wasn't people who made money. It was people who had control of their time. Like they could wake up and they got to determine how they wanted to spend their day.
Yeah.
And I think the entrepreneur side of things for me is I'm a very team oriented person. Like I played team sports. Like that's just like I love being accountable to people.
Yeah.
So the downside to being an entrepreneur is I obviously don't love being out just by yourself. You're on an island a lot of the times, right? So you got to hold yourself accountable, which I'm fairly good at doing. But there's something to be said of being on a team and being able to see others and being able to grow. Like, I've grown more in the past year than I ever imagined, and I worked a remote job. Just being with Tonal and being exposed to so many other great, knowledgeable trainers and coaches and just minds, engineers, marketing specialists, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But as far as the entrepreneur side of things go, it's just I remember a story of Richard Sherman, cornerback. You know, he's retired, when he was on the Seahawks or the 49ers or something like that. And they were trying to structure his contract, and he would have gotten like, you know, a few million guaranteed. But he got considerably less, but there was some stipulations. So there was one side where he could have gotten a guaranteed money, and there was one where he was guaranteed significantly less, but the possibility for him to make was considerably more than the guaranteed money, based on interceptions, based on tackles, based on stuff like that. I remember him saying, he was like, I'm going to always bet on myself. And he made significantly more money that year, with, you know, whether, I don't remember what all it was, but he was like, I'm going to bet on myself. And I think that's kind of, that's me. Like, if I fail, you know, I got nobody to blame but myself. Yeah. Like, there's something exhilarating about that.
For sure.
You know, you can say, like, I always tell my girlfriend Rachel, like, yo, when you put me in a corner, like,
that's when I'm at my best.
I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Like, I will fuck you up. Like, I will claw my way to the top, and that's just like, I don't know where that mindset came from, but it's like the whole, like, pressure makes diamonds things. Like, put me in a corner, please, dear God, I dare you. Like, I'm very confident in my ability as not only a coach, but there's been a few contexts in my life where I've felt like I'm very, like, I can't be defeated, and it was on a pitching mound. It was playing free safety. Like, if I was gonna come at you, like, you were gonna know I was there. And then when you put me in a corner from a business standpoint or whatever it is, like, if I fail, I got nobody to blame but myself. But I'm very much, what's interesting is when Rachel and I first started dating, she still remembers this, and I was like, hey, I just want you to let you know how I pursue life. And she was like, oh God. It's like, I jump and I build a plane on the way down. Like, I'm just grabbing parts. And she was like I was like, I'll quit a job without a job, even though I should be, like, that would be, I've never done that, but like that, I'm that type of, like, I'll quit something even not to have a backup plan, even though I don't have a backup plan, because I just believe in myself. Exactly. I believe in that I'm going to make it happen and that I'll figure it out. And I think that's an exciting part about being an entrepreneur, is you're wearing so many hats, and you're learning about branding, you're learning about marketing. You can't, like, just be a coach. You can't, like, you have to put on all these different hats, and then getting to a point where, like, you start to scale. Right, and that's a big thing where I'm at within my business, is how big do I want to be? Like, I feel like a lot of people they just think keep getting bigger and bigger. So they'll get bigger and add a ton of stuff to their plate out of desire and not so much need. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, I always think about, like, how much do I need to live my ideal life? Like, how much do I want to spend a month on rent? How much do I want to spend a month on clothes, on how much a month? What's my ideal day look like? How much money do I need to live my ideal life? What's my perfect day, my perfect week, my perfect month, my perfect year looks like? What am I doing, and how much do I need to make to do that stuff? And as long as I'm making the money required to do that, like, do I need to make more? Like, I'm reading a big book right now, and it's talking about, like, you know, we're always trying to streamline our time. But, like, once we get time back, we just fill it with other stuff. And then we completely defeated the purpose. And that's a big kind of thing that I'm focusing on right now, is, like, how big do I want to be? Like, do I want a big company? Or do I just want it to be myself, and, like, I have an assistant? And I'm good with that, right? Like, so many people, like, are like, oh, you know, somebody may have a successful business. Like, why don't you get any? I don't want to, because with that, it's going to come a new burden, and I just don't want that burden. Like, I'm good. I make, you know, $250,000 a year, and that's really all I need, and anything else would be excess. I can contribute, blah, blah, blah. Like, how much do you actually need? And I think that's a big thing, is, you know, trying to determine what my ideal year looks like at, you know, 33 years old. Yeah. And then determining how big I want to be based on my, goal of like helping people and helping people improve their health and fitness and shit like that. So
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I had this conversation with Mike, who Mike G, and so we had a similar conversation. He's like, because he was telling me, this is a while ago, but this is like before I went out on my own. He's just like, dude, you have way more right now going for you than I did when I quit my job and started my business. Like, you need to quit your job and start your business right now. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, you don't pay for this, you don't pay for that. Like, you can cover this, you can cover that. Like, you'll be fine. And like, it took over a year of him like chiseling away at me for me to be like, oh shit, like, you're right.
I mean, I was pumped when you did. It was about damn time. You kept on waiting opportunity to come to you, and then you finally just went out and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go and I'm going to make my own opportunities, if you will.
Exactly. That's pretty much what it was. But I was waiting on something special, like, obviously.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, dude. That's what, like, being an entrepreneur is weird because, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night or something like that, and I'll have, like, a content idea or something like.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't, like, can't I just go to sleep? Or I have a hard time getting to bed because I can't get something out of my mind within my business. But, like,
some days there's never enough time. And then, like, look, I just started. So, like, I've had slow days. And during those slow days, it's, like, a mixture between, like, guilt. Because, like, I should be doing something right now. What the fuck am I supposed to be doing? And I just had this conversation with John. And I had the realization that week, the same week that I saw him, I was like, being busy is not the same thing as being productive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have time and I don't have shit to do for whatever reason, which is, not usually the case, but if I have free time, fucking enjoy it. Like, don't guilt trip yourself about that. And then all of a sudden that free time, because I was free, I was available for an opportunity that just came up. Someone gave me a call and I was like, bet, like, I'm done, I'm there, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, under normal circumstances, having a full-time job, I wouldn't have been available for that position.
Well, there's something to say about embracing boredom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that I'm really hard. Like, when remember when I traveled?
Yeah.
I was super depressed. The thing that I realize is a large part of my self-efficacy is attached to how much I work.
Yeah.
And the work I do.
Totally.
Very, very much so. And I realized it's because of my mom and my parents. I was scared to death that that the life I lived would render their sacrifices not worth it. And so I was just going to grind and grind. And I didn't realize that. Like, that was a big thing. And I was like, I finally had to hear from, like, my mom that, like, you're worth it. Like, I don't know why. It's just weird. It's like that childhood trauma shit. But I just had to hear from my mom that, like, hey, like, I love you, you're worth it. And I knew it. It just was like a different thing to hear it. But dude, like, I still have a hard time when that's something I am working on. That's why I'm reading the book is like, I do. Like, I'll talk about, like, these time hacks and, streamlining my time and becoming more efficient. And so I open up time and I fill it with other shit. Yeah. And, like, so something that I've done that I've been doing that has been an absolute game changer is every Monday I determine, I literally schedule out the entire week. What are the tasks I need to get done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Right.
Knowing that each person, for the most part, has a max of 4 hours a day of creative work. When I say creative, I'm talking about cognitively demanding, like program design or content creation, stuff like that is actually going to challenge, not busy work, not just like inputting numbers. And setting that up every Monday, and then if I get those tasks done that specific day, anything else I get done after that is extra. And because I was doing, like, I'd do the same shit, and I was doing the same shit, which is like, okay, I have free time, I'll just work. And it was starting to get to, like, Rachel was starting to say something. She was like, if we get married and we have kids one day, like, I don't want you to be the dad that's working till 9 p.m., 10 p.m. But it's hard because I love what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I realize
that's different.
That's
exactly. Not out of necessity. That's because
it's because I'm just, I have that itch.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing that I've been doing, which is like anything, if I get this stuff done on this list,
right,
anything else is extra. And so like being like, I don't need to work. Like
Yeah.
I'm good. You know what I mean? Like what rate finish line? Like the only timeline I'm on is my own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it'll come in time. It's like there's something to be said of the person that gets to 250 million a year or whatever it is, a million a year in a year versus the person who gets to it in 10 years but makes significantly more because they break past 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. That person never breaks past 1 million or whatever it is, right? Like learning to be the tortoise instead of the hare and just like, yeah, I'll get there when I get there. Like, why do I need all this money right now? Or why do I need to do all this right now?
Totally. No, that's well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something like that I had the realization, but like I feel like you need to hear it again.
Yeah.
And again. I need the reminders because all of a sudden it's just back to the rat race. You know what I'm saying? Like the next day is like, all right, what's next? This phone call, this phone call, this phone call. Do these emails, train this client. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is.
I envy people, and it's like that thing. They ask people like on their deathbeds, and nobody ever said, "I wish I would have worked more."
Yeah.
Like for the most part, it was like, "I wish I wouldn't have worked more."
Right.
And it's like, I envy the people so much that have these. And obviously, we're seeing the outside. We're only seeing what they want us to see. But I have met people who just like seem to have the perfect, and I don't necessarily believe in balance. I more so believe in seasons. Like you have seasons of like, for the past couple weeks, I've been super busy for this seminar. And then after this, I'm going to kind of like breathe a little bit. You know what I mean? But I have met people who just like they just fucking get it. Like they have money, but they don't have too much. Like, could they make more? Yeah, but it's like that thing of like, if I wanted to make more money, with that is going to come new responsibilities and new burdens. Right. It's not bad. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Do I want that? You know what? If I do that, that's going to take away from, I get to surf every morning, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something to be said of like being able to describe your perfect day and your perfect week and your perfect month and your year, and then trying your damnedest to try and build a life that emulates that all the time.
I have no idea. You saying that as I try to think about that, I have no idea.
A lot of people don't, dude. Like, and actually like writing it down, like, and it's gonna change, right? Like it's gonna change, but like, you know what? If I had one last day on Earth, what does that day look like? You know what I mean? And like, that's awesome. Like when you actually can visually tell people that, it's just like, I tell people like the trainers, like, what do you believe in when it comes to training? And then in life, like, what are your values? Like, your values pull you, right? Like, what do you believe in? Because those values are going to help guide your decision making. And there's just so many things that I think that we can do that are going to help us from a life standpoint. And I think for me, that's one of the best ones that I got from a mentor. And when I say mentor, it's somebody they don't really know. It's just that I read their blogs and their stories all the time, and I just like the information that they put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Perfect day, week, month, year.
I love that.
And then how much do you need to make in order to live your ideal life? Like everything comes down to not want, like need.
Yeah.
How much do you need to live your ideal life? How strong as you need to be, not as you can be. But we're all trying to get as rich as we can be and do that as much as we can be, because we're always just thinking like it's like this unlimited resource and we're trying to do everything. And then once this book that I'm reading right now, it's really cool. It's like once you embrace that you're not going to be able to do everything, it's actually very exhilarating. Like you're not going to be able to see everything.
Yeah.
Like you really don't. The book talks about we have the average age of, you have 4,000 weeks. Like you can look at it like it's not, when you think about it, it's not a long time.
Yeah.
And so when you realize like you're just not going to be able to see anything, and that's okay. Like, you know what? I'm good. Like this is like takes just so much of the pressure off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I can see that. I like that.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yep.
All right. I got one last thing before we get into the lightning round. All right. So obviously you have this online business.
Yeah.
And it's been serving you well, but you've been doing the online coaching thing for a minute, like before.
Since I was like 22. Yeah, for like 10 plus years.
Bro, you've been doing it before
it was cool.
Before it was cool, and before every single time on YouTube, I get bombarded with ads.
Yeah.
Are you an online coach? And
Yeah.
do you make the, you know what I'm saying? All that bullshit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, couple of questions. What made you what made you have that realization to go in that direction? And then how did you envision your career like in that moment? Like,
Yeah.
and how did that guide you?
So I got into it in college because I was serving tables. I served tables for like 5 years. And at the time, I had just gotten my WBFF Pro card as a fitness model.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like
okay.
it was trying to take advantage of your opportunities, like leverage your success into other opportunities, right? I knew I wanted to be a performance coach or strength and conditioning coach, trainer, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. And honestly, I hated my boss was a dick, and I was just like so done with it. And I like
At the restaurant.
Yeah, at the restaurant, I was just like, you know what, I'm done with this. Like I'm done. So I tried to, you know, I put out a few that, hey, like I'm accepting clients. You know, at the time, like I look back at some of my. It's not like I was charging an arm or leg. I think you charged like $100 or $75 for a month. But as a college student, you need to make like $500 a month and you're Gucci, right?
Yeah,
So I like,
sure, yeah.
so I literally sat down and said, how much do I need to make? You know what I mean? And then got to a point where I was making like $1,000 a month or something like that. And,
Yeah, you were rolling in it.
yeah, I was like, I'm out. Like I'm done. Like so I was able to quit and never served another table after that. So, and what was cool is when I first moved to LA, I was 24. So it was March of 2014 or something like that. Yeah, I think so. I was making like $3,500 online, $3,000 online, something like that. Granted, I had a lot of clients because I wasn't charging shit. I think I was charging like $125 a month, but I was able to, like, when I moved to LA, like I had an income, you know what I mean? And then obviously worked for Equinox, and, you know, as a blue shirt, you're not getting paid jack. So, you know, I was able to pay my bills, and, you know, just was, before we go out, still pound some PBRs so that I wouldn't have to buy so many drinks. Yeah. Yeah, man, I like, it was cool. So I've just been able to see and, you know, obviously, like, as I picked up at Equinox and as I became more in demand from an in-coaching standpoint, online started to go down. It was no longer, you know, it was just, I had a few clients because I had to put in that time. Yeah. You know, I firmly believe the best online, you know, the worst online coaches are the people who have never trained people, or they're people who are desperate to get out of in-person coaching, which tells me they're probably a shitty in-person coach. Yeah. Like you suck. Like, oh, I can't handle the ups and, well, it's probably because you're an awful coach. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to, you know, call a spade a spade. Yeah. And so I was very grateful that I put in a like, you know, ton of time, and I'm still in-person coaching today. Like, it is my love. I have zero desire to go fully into online coaching because I did it while I was traveling. Right. And I remember you said, sucks, dude. Like,
dude, just typing away.
You're by yourself. You're not getting I love the gym. I love talking with people. I love seeing what other coaches are doing because that stuff makes me better. I love, you know, the camaraderie associated with the gym. I love that shit. Yeah. I have zero desire to ever give that up.
Community is like irreplaceable.
And what's crazy is, like, you'll get these. Look, I traveled South America for 6 months, and these high ticket coaches and shit, they don't tell you about when you go to download your client's video in your Puerto Vallarta and you can't fucking download the video because your internet sucks. So next thing you know, you got to wait 20, 30 minutes to download this video. Damn. Like, they don't talk, like, work from anywhere. Fuck off, dude. Yeah. Like, you can, no. Work from anywhere with really good internet service. Yeah. and the best coaches, I firmly believe you should have an online presence. You should have an online coaching, but, like, both. Yeah. Have it be both, man. Like, I'm always going to, like, I don't only want to do in-person coaching because I'm done doing the 30, 40 sessions a week. Like, zero desire to do it. It runs you down. It's not sustainable. But, like, 10 to 15, like 2-3 a day, like, give me the social aspect that I crave and that I need.
Just the taste, yeah.
Yeah. And what's awesome is I'm at a point in my life, you know, in my career where, like, I can be choosy about when I train clients. Like, oh, you want to train at 6 a.m.? Actually, I wake up at 7:30, so that's not going to happen. You know, love you, mean it, but, like, I got somebody else better for you. They're 24. They can do that stuff, you know? Like, you and I, remember when we were at UCLA waking up at 4 a.m., leaving at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing it. I don't need to. I'm done. Like,
Standing in
I
the
want
rain.
the ideal clients that I love training, which I'm very grateful to have, that train at my ideal times. But in the beginning, man, you want to train at 6 a.m., got you. 10 a.m., got you. 2 p.m.,
necessary.
got you. 5 p.m., I got you.
At that point, it's necessary.
You got to do what you got to do. Like, it's just part of it.
Yeah. But then once you get to a point, you're good.
Yeah, so relating back to, like, entrepreneur and everything, yeah, it's just I don't think it's for everyone. Like, and I understand that. Like, you have different, like, I'm very purpose driven. I hate to say it, but I very much at times work to live. You know what I mean? Or live to work. Sorry, live to work. I need to know my why. I need to know that the work I'm doing is making a difference in the world. If it makes me money, but I don't love it, I'm not in love with it, I'm not passionate about it, I can't do it. It's why, like, I suck at, like, all my investing is automatic. It comes out of my I've automated all my investing because I have zero desire to do. I don't want to get into real estate because I know it can make it. I just don't care. But, like, there's people like that who, like, they don't love it, but it makes them money, and that allows them, the money they make doing those things allows them to live their ideal life. So we have all different types of, like, and that never registered in my brain until I met Rachel, and she's like, I don't need to love what I do. I just want to not hate it. I want to not, like, loathe going to work every day, and I need it to give me enough money to live my ideal life. From there, I'm good.
Damn.
And, like, I can't, like, compute that. I'm just like, I would literally die. Like, like, but that's her. Like, she doesn't need to love what she does. And there's, like, people, like, and that's why I very firmly believe, like, people in the fitness industry, like, they're people who are generally the ones who, like, are good, that have been in this for a while. Like, they're people who generally love this shit. Like, we love this shit. Like, we are obsessed with seeing how we can improve performance and flexibility and stuff like that. But yeah, Rachel's got that mindset I can't relate to. Yeah. But it's interesting.
No, it's super different.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, I'm still. It's now being where I am now. It's like, damn, being an employee is so easy. It's so fucking easy.
God, dude, I don't know. Let me ask my boss if I can take off work for a week.
Yeah.
He said no. He's a dick. Like, actually, no, I'm joking. He said I can go on vacation. Rachel, like, now, really, when Rachel and I go on vacation, before, when I wasn't working for Tonal, she's like, can you do that? But you know what's crazy is, Rachel and I went on vacation, and I got unlimited days off at Tonal. I never took them. Just had a hard time doing that. Like, I'm so much of my self-efficacy is just how much I work, and I'm working on it. I'm trying so hard to work on it. But Rachel's like, you know how many days I would have taken off? And, like, we went to Hawaii for a week, and I haven't taken off more than 2 days in 10 years. Like, dude, my anxiety was through the roof.
Dude, I get it.
And it took me probably 3 days. Like, Rachel would check in, like, how are we doing? Because, like, my, like, colleagues at work were great, and they're like, you need to, like, so they made me delete Slack and, like, just do all this stuff. Like, did not touch work. All my online clients, let them know, like, hey, I'm taking off, and they were cool, dude. Like, do your thing. I'm thinking they're gonna be like, no. And it probably wasn't until, like, the third or fourth day where I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, but then, like, after, like, 8 days, 7 days, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get back to work.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. So.
I mean, when I went to Europe, I went to Europe by myself, and I mean, like, look, granted, I still was employed at that time, but still, the whole self-efficacy thing is, like, so real.
Yeah.
Because, like, and also what you said earlier about, like, being okay with being bored.
Yeah.
Or being able to embrace boredom, like, those two things are, like, nasty combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we know we need to work on these things.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it takes time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know the things that I need to work on. I always say it's not anything that's wrong with me. It's nothing. Yeah. It's just stuff that I could do better. You know what I mean? That could improve my tranquility, because that's really what the goal is when it comes to life, right? Is, like, peace of mind.
I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, dope, bro. All right, let's move on to this last part. So, last part, let's have some fun with it.
All right.
I got 5 quick questions. Your answers can be as long or short as you want them to be.
Okay.
All right. So, you have a reservation for a table of 5 at happy hour. You're going to grab beers with 5 people, like all time, like dead or alive. 5 people that you would want to sit at a table with and have a conversation with and hang out with.
Okay. Bob Marley, Nelson Mandela, Jackie Robinson. Those are 3 of my people that I look up to just because of everything they went through. Epictetus. And I want to say
That's a philosopher.
Yeah. Stoic philosopher.
Yeah.
And Marcus Aurelius.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be a sick table.
That'd be a sick table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't emulate celebrities or athletes or anything.
No.
I just don't care. Like I want people who have actually drastically changed the course of the world.
Yeah.
And gone through shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love that. All right. What's an album or 2 that you can listen to with no skips?
Zach Bryan, Something in the Orange. You knew I was gonna say.
Damn it. I do. I already do.
Yeah, Zach Bryan, Something in the Orange, and Luke Combs. Country baby, country. Yeah.
Country ass country boy. I don't know why.
Country ass country bumpkin.
Damn, man. I don't know why I asked that. It's okay. All right. All right. Top 5 favorite athletes of all time. It's your top 5. Your favorite.
John Lynch,
Okay.
Brian Dawkins, Deion Sanders. John Lynch, Brian Dawkins, Deion Sanders. I was gonna say my boy Cam Newton. I love how Cam was for the city.
Yeah.
For the city. Honestly, I'd say Kobe.
It's hard not to.
I'd say Kobe. Yeah. Just his mindset was just on another level. Yeah, I'd say Kobe.
Yeah. He's so impactful.
Yeah.
All right. If you could relive one sporting event ever, which one would it be? And this could be you were at the sporting event, or you're watching it on TV, but you wish you were there. Whatever it is.
So not something I did, or something
no,
else?
I mean,
one sporting event.
Yeah.
Whew.
It could be your own, I guess.
You know what? I'd say when Auburn returned Alabama's field goal for a touchdown to beat Alabama.
Damn, that's crazy. What year was that?
That was years ago. But I've been to the Iron Bowl a few times, and it's just not good when you get a bunch of rednecks who hate each other in one place, but it's also rowdy as shit.
Yeah.
Either that or I've always wanted to go to Penn State Ohio State game. Whiteout game. Like when Penn State beat Ohio State when I was in high school. Actually, I went to App State. When App State beat Michigan. I would have done anything to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That'd have been awesome. To not even be at the game, but to be on campus. They literally tore down the goalpost and carried it to the chancellor's house. Up a fucking mountain.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would want to be there. That'd be fucking sick. Rowdy as hell.
Yep.
For sure.
College football for me. It's all college football.
Yeah.
I love. I don't think there's anything like college football. Yeah.
I feel that. All right, last one. I don't know which one to go with. Let's go with this. All right, you could pick any age or even 2 ages from your life, and what would you tell that younger self?
Damn, that's a good one. Go back to any age, and what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah.
I would go back to probably 21-year-old Josh and
Okay.
say, it's not that serious, bro. Because I don't know if you've seen any like the Facebook statuses that I've posted
No.
that I delete.
I don't remember, no.
And where I'm just like,
Oh, no.
I work out because I want to
Oh.
live on the edge of human. Then it's just like I just put myself on a pedestal because
Yeah.
I fucking train hard, or I wanted to be so successful and make a drastic difference in the world, and like, pump your brakes, bro. It's not that serious. Let's calm down. Let's see what you're trying to do. Like, maybe not be so opinionated.
Yeah.
Like, you're 21 years old. Quit telling people how to live their life.
It's
You don't-
tough.
Yeah.
That's like that's like that youth brain. It's like
Yeah.
you're arrogant, you're
Yeah.
opinionated. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
don't know any better.
Yeah.
I feel like not everyone's like that at that age, but I was definitely like that at that
Yeah.
age.
Oh, for sure. I was a cocky shithead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'd say it's not that serious, bro.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, listen to understand instead of listen to reply. Like, listen more, talk less.
Yeah.
Only listen to when it's, or only speak when it's actually going to be something valuable is going to come out of your
Yeah.
mouth.
Of course.
Which I tell myself that too. So,
Dope, bro.
yeah, man.
That's it. Well, look, I appreciate you coming out. Obviously, you had a busy week. You were only in LA for a bit, but
Yeah.
it's always good seeing you.
Yeah, the $65 lift was well worth it out here, bro. But you're me driving me home.
I got you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Check us out. Wait till next time. Peace.